Morning, all. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Monday, April the 21st. And we have 4 games tonight in the National Hockey League, so we'll go over that briefly. So, starting at the top of the board, Brendan Dillon, who got hurt in yesterday's game against Carolina. Apparently, he wanted to come back into the game. Team doctors said no. So we'll see what his status is going to be for Game 2. Obviously, Sheldon Keefe not tipping his hand on who will or won't play, and that's going to be an ongoing theme throughout the National Hockey League playoffs because that's how they are. All the expectations that all the gambling and everything would mean the NHL has to be more transparent about injuries. Nope. That was the speculation years ago. Just hasn't happened. So Dillon could play in the next game. We shall see, but the Devils have got to be better in that next game. The playoffs go fast, very, very quickly. You have 4 chances, and if you lose 4 games, well, you're out. Oilers tonight, going to be a little short-handed. Kane, Stetcher, not going to be playing in the first game of the series. Trent Frederick listed as day-to-day, unlikely to play either. Kulak is with his wife, who's expecting a baby, so congratulations to him. And, yeah, we'll see what the Oilers look like tonight and what kind of lineup they have. Obviously, the LA Kings and their home record being what it is, the Oilers will want to get that first game victory, but we'll talk about that when we get there. One player who will be in the lineup for the Oilers tonight is Jeff Skinner. Jeff Skinner has not played a playoff game in his career. He's played 1,078 regular season games. I want him to do a rookie lap. I want to see Jeff Skinner go out and do a rookie lap. I think that would be fantastic. It was the first thought that I had when I saw this news was he has to do a rookie lap, doesn't he? We saw William do that last night in the game against Vegas, so why not? Yep, Jeff Skinner, rookie lap tonight. I think that would be great if they did that. So tonight for the Colorado Avalanche, if Ross Colton isn't able to play, Gabriel Landeskog might get into the lineup. So Colton got hurt. Landeskog might have an opening there. He was at the morning skate and practice today, so maybe Landeskog returns tonight. Just what Dallas needs is for Colorado to get Landeskog and that emotional uplift into their lineup. Perfect. Speaking of emotional, the New York Rangers season was emotional. And various players talking about the issues and what affected this season. Chris Kreider, in his exit interview, he admits that the Barclay Goodrow situation, where he ends up in San Jose, and then Jacob Trouba's exit after that they did have an effect on the team. These were big personalities, and they were leaders in the locker room, and it sounds like it kind of threw the whole team out of whack. Mika Zibanejad as well said in his exit interview that the first few months of the season, toughest time of his career. So I don't know if this means anything for Chris Drury's job security or anything, but it is something that the players are talking about in their exit interviews. So for Chris Drury, it's a matter of, go to the players. I would think go to the players, figure out, who wants to stick around and what the plan is, and come up with some sort of a cohesive vision for what next year's roster is going to look like. I still think that the Rangers missing the playoffs this year is just bonkers. Such a good team last year. Won the President's Trophy. I'm not saying they would have won the Cup this year or anything, but they absolutely should have been a playoff team. So somebody, and I know Laviolette's out. I don't think Laviolette was the problem, personally, but yeah. Anyways, we'll see how the rest of this offseason plays out for the Rangers. Miro Heiskanen at morning skate for the Dallas Stars, but he's not going to play tonight. So Heiskanen's getting closer. Dallas desperately needs him back in the lineup. Absolutely desperately needs him back in the lineup. Not that Robertson getting back in the lineup wouldn't help as well. I mean, it obviously would help, but Heiskanen won't be on the ice playing tonight. Maybe he gets back in for Game 3. We shall see. So as I'm recording this, the Canucks having their presser at the end of the season. Jim Rutherford, Patrick Alvin. Rutherford talking about the whole JT and then Pettersson situation, and saying that JT tried to fix that rift in the locker room, but it sounds like it was already too far gone. That what had been kind of JT and Pettersson back and forth had become kind of, a split locker room. It's what we had heard rumors of with the Vancouver Canucks locker room, that you had, JT's buddies and you had Pettersson's and the back and forth between them. And that the team is basically, going into this summer open on what they're going to do with Pettersson, and that they don't view what his job is as being just points either. So, which I agree with. I think Pettersson's good defensively. I'm not saying great defensively. I think he's also good at drawing penalties. So there are definitely parts of Pettersson's game that weren't awful this year, but yeah, the offense needs to get back to where it was, and or maybe a move ends up being made. No idea. They're leaving anything open, so we shall see. Now, the team has also announced they're not exercising the contract option on Rick Tocchet. They have an option to bring him back for next year, saying that they're not going to exercise that option, and they're going to talk to him this week. And the expectation is that Tocchet will make that decision later in the week. So we'll see if Tocchet's going to stick around. I would think that he does, since they're leaving it up to him. I would think that he probably does. But the fact that that decision hasn't already been made, we'll see, right? But I do think Tocchet's probably going to be back. It sounds like the team wants him back. And so there we go. Dylan Larkin, the reason why I'm wearing a Red Wings jersey today, says something here, and we'll see if any other players chime in agreeing with him on this one or not. Larkin basically says that the Red Wings, the trade deadline, they didn't get any kind of boost from that, and that in fact it was kind of a drop in morale, not getting additions and that kind of thing. So he's saying that if Steve Yzerman had gone out at the deadline and picked up some players and shown like a lot of faith in the team, that it could have been, what they needed to provide a spark, morale boost as they were trying to get themselves towards a playoff position. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Do you think that the inactivity of the Red Wings at the trade deadline caused the team's play to sag a little bit? Let me know your thoughts. Logan Thompson, the first goalie off the ice for the Washington Capitals today, and usually the first goalie off the ice is the goalie that's going to start that night. That is usually the case. So is Thompson starting tonight? Coach Carberry is not telling us, because of course he's not. He's not going to tell you. So if Thompson's back, the question I would have then is, so would Thompson be 100% back, or would Thompson be good enough to play back? Because those are two completely different things. But it is going to be interesting to see how that turns out. Protas is listed as doubtful for Game 1. Considering the week-to-week nature of his injury, I would think he probably misses at least the first few games of this series, but it is miraculous how quickly guys will come back when it's playoff hockey, and I would imagine that having watched the games that we've seen so far is going to inspire some players to try to come back maybe a little sooner than they otherwise would, because the playoff hockey so far has been pretty darn fun to watch. But I would imagine it's more fun to play. So we have 4 games tonight, and it's the staggered starts that they seem to love now with this. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start, Montreal, Washington, Game 1. We'll see how that series goes. In the event that Protas and Thompson come back, and if Thompson can play like he did earlier in the season, Washington should be fine and gets past Montreal. However, if those things don't happen, I still think Montreal's got a good shot here. So we'll see how Game 1 goes tonight. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, the St. Louis Blues and Winnipeg play Game 2. So this is where things get a little odd in that there's some Game 2s, some Game 1s. And as the series go along, we're going to see this a little more often. But St. Louis played pretty well against Winnipeg. They did. Winnipeg had a really strong third period. The St. Louis Blues need to just go out and play a full 60 minutes, and that would give Winnipeg all they could handle. 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific start, the Avalanche and Dallas Game 2. Dallas needs a win. It really is that simple. I know they're not good in Game 1s, but they hadn't been good going into that Game 1 either, so hoping for something a little better for Dallas tonight, but we'll see how that one goes. And then at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, the Edmonton Oilers, the LA Kings for the 4th year in a row. And I think, we're due to see LA have a little bit of success in the playoffs, but it's going to be an interesting series. Should be fun to watch. And as I said in one of the reviews too the other day, while teams I root for didn't make it outside of Dallas, I'm honestly really enjoying these playoffs. My stress level is so much lower than it was last year's playoffs. Last year's playoffs, there were times where I was going like, okay, a Boston game, then a Vancouver. Oh, this is so stressful. And now it's fine. So there's that upside when the team or teams you root for don't make the playoffs. Your stress level goes down. and everybody else is yelling and screaming and all upset, and you're like, hey, I remember when I was like that, but teams aren't in the playoffs, so I'll just sit here and watch. Anyways, there you go. But thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. Let me know your thoughts about any of these items on the board. Let me know who you think's going to win tonight. That kind of fun stuff too. But thanks for your support. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I will talk to you again soon.